I'm Kendra, 32 years old, and family has always come first for me. At least that's what I believed until last month when my siblings informed me I wasn't welcome on our annual family beach trip. The reason I don't have children, so I'm not really family. The real shock came when they still expected me to watch their kids while they enjoyed their vacation without me. Let me tell you what happened when I finally stood up for myself. Before I continue, let me know where you're watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever had to set boundaries with family members who took you for granted. Growing up in our family of 5 in suburban Michigan, I always felt a special connection to my siblings. Emily, my older sister by 3 years, was the determined one, who always knew exactly what she wanted. James, my brother who's 6 years older, was the protector always looking out for us, but sometimes in an overbearing way. And Natalie, my younger sister by 4 years, was the free spirit who somehow got away with everything while charming everyone around her. As for me, I somehow fell into the role of the helper, the mediator, the reliable one. I can't pinpoint exactly when it started, but somewhere along the way, being available and helpful became my identity within our family dynamic. Kendra will help became my parents' automatic response whenever someone needed something. Need someone to drive Natalie to soccer practice? Kendra will help. Emily needs a babysitter last minute? Kendra will help. James needs someone to pick up his daughters from school when his wife has a doctor's appointment? Kendra will help. And I did help consistently and without complaint. I've always loved my family deeply, and being there for them felt natural. Even after I became an elementary school teacher with my own demanding schedule, I would rearrange my life to accommodate their needs. While my colleagues would head home after work to their families or personal interests, I would often rush to help one of my siblings with childcare or some other family matter. I especially adore my nieces and nephew. Mason Emily's 8-year-old son is a curious little boy with an encyclopedic knowledge of dinosaurs and a gentle heart. James has two daughters, Emma and Lily, 7 and 5, who are bundles of energy and creativity. Emma loves to draw and can spend hours creating elaborate fantasy worlds on paper, while Lily is our family performer, always ready with a song or dance routine she's invented. The children brought so much joy to my life that I never really minded dropping everything to help with them. When Emily needed to work late and her husband was traveling for business, I would spend evenings helping Mason with homework and tucking him in with dinosaur stories. When James and his wife wanted date nights, I would have sleepovers with Emma and Lily, complete with blanket forts and homemade pizza. My apartment became a second home to them, with a drawer full of spare clothes, favorite snacks in the pantry, and toys scattered throughout. I've attended every school play soccer game and dance recital. I've nursed fevers, kissed, scraped knees, and celebrated lost teeth. In many ways, I felt like a second parent to these children, without the official title or recognition. And I was okay with that, or so I thought. My own social life and dating prospects took a back seat to family obligations. I've canceled more first dates than I can count because of last-minute babysitting requests. My friends eventually stopped inviting me to spontaneous gatherings, knowing I'd likely decline due to family commitments. My apartment remained a one-bedroom because I couldn't justify the expense of a larger place just for myself, even though it meant the kids had to camp out in my living room during sleepovers. Through all of this, one tradition remained sacred: our annual family beach trip to Florida. For 1 week every summer, we would all stay in a rented beach house, sharing cooking duties, building sandcastles with the kids, and staying up late playing board games after the children went to bed. It was the one time I felt truly included, truly part of the core family unit. Last year, Emily had joked about how I was the vacation MVP because I watched the kids while she and her husband snuck away for a romantic dinner. James had praised my sandcastle engineering skills as we built an elaborate fortress with the girls. Even Natalie, who rarely acknowledged my contributions, had thanked me for organizing all the meal planning so the adults could relax more. So when the planning for this year's trip began, I never imagined I wouldn't be included. I had already requested the time off from school, setting aside a full week in July, when summer school would be on break. I had even started a Pinterest board with beach activities for the kids, knowing Mason was now interested in marine biology, and the girls would love collecting seashells for crafts. The annual beach trip wasn't just a vacation. It was a statement that despite our differences and busy lives, we were still a family, that we still prioritized time together, that we still loved and appreciated each other's company. Or at least that's what I thought it meant. It was a Tuesday evening in May when my phone buzzed with a notification from our family group chat. I was grading papers at my kitchen table, a stack of fourth-grade book reports about Charlotte's Web that required my attention before tomorrow. But family always came first, so I set aside my red pen and checked the message. It was from Emily, and it was about the beach trip. Hey everyone, just finalized the beach house booking for July 15th, 22. 6 bedrooms right on the beach. Mom and Dad are staying home this year because of Dad's knee surgery, so it will be just us and the kids. James and Brooke, Nathan and I, and Natalie and Tyler. I stared at my phone rereading the message 3 times. There was no mention of me. 6 bedrooms for 3 couples and 3 children. But no Kendra. Before I could respond, another message popped up, this one from James. Sounds perfect. The kids are already excited about building sandcastles. And then Natalie. Can't wait, Tyler's taking the whole week off work. My hands shook slightly as I typed, Did you forget to include me? I've already taken the week off from school. There was a long pause. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared several times before Emily finally responded. Oh, Kendra, we figured you wouldn't be joining this year. We're trying to keep it just immediate family this time. You know, parents and kids. Just immediate family. Parents and kids. The implication was clear. Without a spouse or children of my own, I wasn't considered immediate family. Despite being their sister, their blood relative, I was somehow less family than their spouses. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. The air left my lungs as I stared at those words on my screen. How could they not see how hurtful that was? How could they not understand that they were telling me I didn't matter as much because I was single and childless? I am immediate family. I typed, then deleted it. I've always been part of the beach trip. I tried again, but deleted that too. What could I possibly say that would make them understand how deeply they had hurt me? In the end, I simply wrote, I see. Thanks for letting me know. Then I set my phone down and returned to my grading, though the words on the papers blurred through my tears. Later that night, I called our mom, hoping she might provide some insight or perhaps even advocate for my inclusion. Mom, did you know I'm not invited to the beach trip this year? I asked when she answered. Oh, honey, she sighed. Emily mentioned something about wanting to keep it small this year. I'm sure they don't mean anything by it. They specifically said it's for immediate family-only parents and kids. I explained, my voice tight. How is that not meaning something by it? I'm your daughter just like Emily and Natalie are. You know how Emily gets when she makes up her mind about something, Mom replied, her tone placating. And you're so good at understanding Kendra. You always have been. That was the problem, wasn't it? I was always so good at understanding, at accommodating, at putting others' needs and wants before my own. I had become the family doormat, and they had all grown accustomed to wiping their feet on me. This isn't about understanding, I said. This is about respect and inclusion. I'm being told I don't count as real family because I don't have children. I'm sure that's not what they meant, Mom insisted. Why don't you talk to Emily directly? I did try to talk to Emily the next day. I called her during my lunch break, stepping outside the school building to have some privacy. I wanted to talk about the beach trip, I said when she answered. Oh, Kendra, I'm really busy right now. She responded immediately. I could hear the sounds of her office in the background. Emily worked as a marketing executive and was always really busy. It will just take a minute. I'm hurt that I've been excluded, and I want to understand why. We're not excluding you, she said with exasperation. We're just focusing on the nuclear families this year. You're still our sister, and we love you. But not enough to include me in the family vacation I've been part of for years. Don't be so dramatic. It's just one vacation. It's not like we're disowning you. It felt like a disowning, though. It felt like they were saying that the family I had devoted myself to, the nieces and nephew, I had helped raise, the siblings I had supported through every crisis and celebration, weren't really my family after all. That I was somehow peripheral, an accessory, rather than a core member. The memories flooded back of other times I'd felt similarly sidelined. The Christmas when everyone got special personalized gifts while I received a generic scented candle. The time my promotion at school wasn't celebrated because it coincided with Mason winning a spelling bee. The family photos where I was positioned at the edge, easy to crop out if they wanted a picture of just the family. I had brushed aside these small hurts, telling myself I was being overly sensitive. But now, with this explicit exclusion, I couldn't ignore the pattern anymore. After my call with Emily, I texted James, hoping my brother might be more understanding. His response was equally dismissive. "It's not personal, Ken. Emily thought it would be nice to focus on the kids this year. You can come next year." Natalie didn't even respond to my text. I spent the next few days in a fog of hurt and confusion, going through the motions at school while trying to process this rejection. I considered confronting them all again, making them understand how their actions had affected me. But deep down, I knew it wouldn't change anything. They had made their decision, and my feelings weren't enough to make them reconsider. So I began to accept it. I canceled my time off request at school and signed up to teach summer sessions during what would have been the beach week. I looked into local day trips I could take on the weekends instead. I told myself that maybe this was an opportunity to focus on building my own life separate from my role as the family helper. I was just starting to make peace with the situation when everything changed again. It was exactly 2 weeks before their beach trip when my phone rang on a Sunday afternoon. I was at the farmer's market selecting fresh vegetables for my weekly meal prep when I saw Emily's name on my screen. "Kendra, I need a huge favor," she said without even a hello when I answered. "What is it?" I asked, stepping away from the tomato stand to hear better. "Nathan's mother has fallen and broken her hip, and we need to go to Chicago to help her for a few days before our beach trip. We were wondering if Mason could stay with you." I stood there, surrounded by weekend shoppers, trying to process what I was hearing. Emily was asking me to watch her son right before the family vacation. I had been explicitly told I wasn't welcome to join. "You want me to watch Mason?" I repeated, just to be sure I understood. "Yes, just for 4 days. We'll pick him up on our way to Florida. It would really help us out." The audacity was breathtaking. I wasn't family enough to join the vacation, but I was family enough to provide free childcare. "Emily, I'm teaching summer school that week. I took on extra classes since I wasn't going to the beach anymore." This wasn't entirely true. I hadn't actually confirmed the extra classes yet, but I was seriously considering it. "Can't you get someone to cover for you?" "This is family, Kendra. Nathan's mom needs us, and Mason needs you." There it was. This is family. The same family that had decided I wasn't really one of them just weeks ago. "I'll need to think about it," I said finally. "I'll call you back." I ended the call and stood motionless in the middle of the busy market, my shopping basket hanging heavy on my arm. The familiar weight of family obligation pressed down on me along with the newer, sharper edge of resentment. Before I could even process this request, my phone rang again. This time it was James. "Hey, Ken. Emily told me you might not be able to help with Mason." He started, his tone already bordering on accusatory. "I just got off the phone with her, James. I haven't even had time to think about it." "Well, while you're thinking, Brooke and I were wondering if you could take Emma and Lily the day before we leave for Florida. Brooke's sister is getting married that weekend, and we need to attend the rehearsal dinner. We'd pick the girls up early the next morning before we drive to Florida." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So let me get this straight. I'm not invited to the beach trip because it's just for immediate family, but you all want me to watch your kids right before you go?" "Don't be like that, Ken. You know you're great with the kids, and they love staying with you. We just need some adult time on this vacation. You understand, right? Parents need a break sometimes." "And what about my break?" I asked, surprising myself with the direct question. "You don't have kids, Kendra. It's different. You can take a vacation anytime you want." Except I couldn't, could I? Because I was always being called upon to help with everyone else's lives, everyone else's children. My time wasn't viewed as valuable or in need of protection, because I didn't have the legitimate demands of parenthood. Before I could respond, I received a text from Natalie. "Emily told me you're being difficult about watching Mason. Don't be selfish, Kendra. That's what family does for each other." Selfish. I had rearranged my life countless times to accommodate my siblings' needs. I had been there for every emergency, every celebration, every ordinary Tuesday, when they just needed an extra pair of hands. and I was selfish for hesitating once. Despite my growing resentment, the weight of lifelong patterns pressed down on me. The thought of disappointing the children who were innocent in all this was unbearable, and so, against my better judgment, I agreed. Fine, I texted all three of them. I'll take the kids, but we need to have a serious conversation about boundaries when you get back. Emily dropped Mason off first, 3 days before they were set to leave for Florida. She rushed through the handoff, barely giving me the backpack with his clothes and tablet, before she was checking her watch and mentioning she needed to get on the road. His summer reading book is in there, and he needs to read for at least 30 minutes a day, she said, already backing toward the door. No sugar after 7 and make sure he brushes his teeth for a full 2 minutes. Emily, I said, stopping her retreat, we need to talk about what happened with the beach trip invitation. She sighed dramatically. Kendra, I really don't have time for this right now. Nathan's waiting in the car, and we have a 6-hour drive ahead of us. You never have time, none of you do, but you always have time to ask for my help. We can talk when we get back, she said, giving Mason a quick kiss on the head. Be good for Aunt Kendra, buddy. We'll see you in a few days. And then she was gone, leaving me with her son and all my unspoken feelings. James and Brooke dropped off Emma and Lily the next day in a similarly rushed fashion. Brooke at least brought me a coffee and thanked me profusely, while James barely made eye contact, clearly avoiding any serious conversation. Girls listen to Aunt Kendra and don't give her any trouble, he said, hugging his daughters. To me, he simply said, we'll text you the pickup details, probably around 7 on Friday morning. So there I was with 3 children in my small one-bedroom apartment, expected to care for them until my siblings deigned to collect them on their way to a family vacation I had been told I wasn't part of. I tried to focus on the children who were excited about their impromptu cousin sleepover. We made homemade pizzas and built a blanket fort in the living room. I helped Mason with his summer reading while the girls drew pictures of what they thought the beach house would look like. They asked why I wasn't coming to Florida with them, and I gave some vague answer about having to work. But as I tucked them in that night, Mason in my bed and the girls in sleeping bags in the living room fort, a deep sadness settled over me. I loved these children deeply. I had been there for so many moments in their lives. Yet somehow, in the eyes of their parents, that didn't make me family enough. The breaking point came the next day when I was scrolling through social media during the kids' afternoon quiet time. Emily had posted a photo of her and Nathan in Chicago with the caption, "Quick visit with Mom before heading to our beach paradise now, family first. Family first." The irony was painful. Then I saw Natalie had shared the beach house listing, writing T-3 days until a week of sun sand and family time with the people who matter most. Blessed, family vacation. The people who matter most. And apparently, I wasn't one of them. But what truly broke me was the group chat message that popped up while I was still stinging from those posts. James had sent a photo of his packed car with the text, "All ready for Family Beach Week. This year's trip is going to be the best yet. Just us and the kids making memories that will last a lifetime. Just us." As if I wasn't us. As if the fact that I was currently watching his children somehow didn't make me part of the family equation. I set my phone down and walked to the bathroom, closing the door quietly so I wouldn't disturb the kids. I stared at myself in the mirror, seeing the familiar face that had always tried to please everyone, to be helpful, to be good enough. And for what? To be dismissed as not really family when it was convenient for them. My phone buzzed again. It was my friend Sarah checking in. I had known Sarah since college, and she was one of the few friends who had stuck around despite my constant cancellations for family obligations. "How's it going with the kids?" she texted. I called her instead of texting back. When she answered, I tried to sound normal, but my voice cracked. "Kendra, what's wrong?" Sarah asked immediately. I told her everything in a rushed, whispered torrent, the exclusion from the trip being asked to watch the kids anyway, the social media post that felt like salt in the wound. "I'm so sorry they're treating you this way," Sarah said when I finally paused for breath. "But honestly, Ken, I'm not surprised. You've been letting them take advantage of you for years." "That's not fair," I protested weakly, though part of me knew she was right. "Isn't it? How many times have we talked about you setting boundaries with them? How many times have you canceled plans with me because one of your siblings needed a last-minute babysitter? How many times have you put your own life on hold to accommodate theirs?" I didn't have a good answer. You're wonderful with those kids, and it's clear you love them. Sarah continued, her voice gentler. But your siblings are exploiting that love. They're using you, Kendra, and they'll keep using you as long as you let them. What am I supposed to do? The kids are here now. I can't just abandon them. No, but you don't have to be the one watching them either. What about your parents? They're still in town, right? My parents. They had opted out of the beach trip because of my dad's recent knee surgery, but he was recovering well. My mom was perfectly capable of watching the children for a few days. They might be able to help, I said slowly, the beginnings of a plan forming in my mind. And what about that beach trip to Mexico you've been talking about for years? The one you keep putting off because something always comes up with your family. Isn't this the perfect time to finally take it? The Mexico trip. I'd been saving for it since I started teaching, setting aside a little money each month for what I imagined would be the perfect solo vacation. White sand beaches, clear blue water, a stack of books, and absolutely no responsibilities. I had almost booked it 3 different times only to cancel when family needs arose. I couldn't, I said, but without conviction. Why not? You have the time off. You have the money saved. Your siblings have made it crystal clear that they don't value your time or your role in the family. Why not show them and yourself what you're missing by always putting them first? Why not indeed? After I hung up with Sarah, I sat on the edge of my bathtub, thoughts racing. What she was suggesting felt radical, even reckless. I had never prioritized myself over my family's expectations before. I had never deliberately chosen my own happiness over their convenience. But as I thought about those social media posts about being explicitly excluded from the people who matter most, a new feeling began to overtake the hurt: determination, self-respect, the understanding that if I didn't value my own time and place in the world, no one else would either. I opened my laptop and looked up flights to Cancun. There was one leaving in 2 days early in the morning, the same day my siblings would be driving to Florida. The symbolism felt right somehow. Without allowing myself to overthink it, I booked the flight. Then I called my mother. "Mom, I need your help," I said when she answered. "What is it, honey? Is everything okay with the kids?" She sounded concerned, which was fair, given I rarely asked her for anything. "The kids are fine, but I need you and Dad to watch them until Emily and James pick them up on Friday." "Watch them, but Kendra, you know your father just had surgery." "Dad is walking around fine now, and you're perfectly capable." Emily and James assumed I would watch their children, even though they specifically excluded me from the family vacation. I've decided that's not acceptable. There was a long pause. "I don't understand, Kendra. What are you saying?" "I'm saying that I'm taking the vacation I've been putting off for years. I've booked a flight to Mexico for Friday morning. I need you and Dad to take the kids on Thursday night, and they can stay with you until Emily and James pick them up." "Mexico by yourself, Kendra, that's not like you." "Maybe it's time it was like me, Mom. I'm tired of being taken for granted. I'm tired of being good enough to provide free childcare, but not good enough to be included in family activities." Another silence, longer this time. Finally, my mother sighed. "Your father and I should have stepped in when we heard about the beach trip. It wasn't right the way they excluded you." It was the first acknowledgement from anyone in my family that I had been wronged, and it loosened something tight in my chest. "No, it wasn't right," I agreed. "And I've let too many things slide over the years. I need to start standing up for myself, and this is where I'm drawing the line." "Okay," she said simply. "Bring the kids over Thursday evening. They can sleep in the guest room, and we'll keep them until Emily and James come." "Thank you, Mom. And Kendra, I hope you have a wonderful time in Mexico. You deserve it." After that call, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. I spent the rest of the afternoon researching my resort planning, what to pack, and arranging for a shuttle from the Cancun airport. I even splurged on trip insurance, something I would never normally do, but which felt like an affirmation that my plans, my trip, my time mattered. That evening, I sat the kids down and explained that there had been a change of plans. "You're going to stay with Grandma and Grandpa on Thursday night, and then your parents will pick you up from there on Friday morning." I told them. "But why aren't we staying with you until Mom and Dad come?" Mason asked, his brow furrowed in confusion. I considered how to answer, wanting to be honest, without putting the children in the middle of adult disagreements. Because I'm going on a trip too, I said finally. To Mexico. By yourself? Emma asked, eyes wide. Yes, by myself. Sometimes adults need time alone to relax and think, just like you guys sometimes want to play by yourselves. Are you mad at our parents? Lily asked perceptively. No, sweetie. I'm just doing something nice for myself for a change. The children seemed to accept this explanation, though I could tell they found it unusual. I had never prioritized my own plans over being available to them before. That night, I packed my suitcase with summer clothes I hadn't worn in years, having had little occasion for sundresses and sandals beyond school picnics. I found the sun hat I'd bought 3 summers ago for a beach trip that I'd ultimately missed, because Natalie had broken up with her boyfriend and needed emotional support the same weekend. As I placed each item in my suitcase, I felt like I was reclaiming pieces of myself, reassembling a Kendra who existed beyond her family relationships, a Kendra with her own desires, her own time, her own life. Thursday evening, I drove the children to my parents' house. My father greeted them with his usual enthusiasm, his knee brace barely slowing him down as he showed them the new bird feeder he had installed in the backyard. My mother had prepared their favorite snacks and set up board games in the living room. Are you sure you're okay with this? I asked her quietly, as the kids explored with my dad. We're fine, Kendra. Your father and I raised 4 children. I think we can handle 3 grandchildren for one night. She squeezed my hand. Stop worrying about everyone else for once. Go home and finish packing. I hugged the children goodbye, promising to bring them souvenirs from Mexico. As I drove away, I felt a strange mixture of guilt and liberation. The guilt was familiar, but the liberation was new and intoxicating. Back at my apartment, I finished my preparations for the trip. I set my alarm for 4:30 a.m. to make my early flight, and then I did something I'd never done before. I composed a message to the family group chat, the same one where they had excluded me weeks ago. Mason, Emma, and Lily are with Mom and Dad. They're expecting you to pick them up tomorrow morning as planned. I'll be in Mexico for the next week. Enjoy your family vacation. Then I turned off my notifications, set my phone on Do Not Disturb, and went to bed. My alarm woke me before dawn, and I moved through my morning routine with a sense of surreal calm. This was really happening. I was really choosing myself over my family's expectations for the first time in my adult life. The Uber arrived at 5:00 a.m. to take me to the airport. As we drove through the quiet early morning streets, I resisted the urge to check my phone. Whatever reactions my siblings were having to my message, I didn't want them to affect what I was doing. This trip was for me, and I was determined to enjoy every minute of it. The airport was already busy, filled with summer travelers heading off on their own adventures. I checked my bag, went through security, and found my gate with time to spare. Only then did I allow myself to look at my phone. The family group chat had exploded overnight. Emily, what do you mean you're going to Mexico? You can't just leave the kids with Mom and Dad. James, this is completely irresponsible, Kendra. Dad just had surgery. Natalie, is this some kind of tantrum because you weren't invited to Florida? Grow up. My mother had responded to them all. Your father and I are perfectly capable of watching our grandchildren for one night. Kendra deserves a vacation too. Perhaps you should all reflect on how you've been treating your sister. I smiled at my mother's defense, feeling a surge of gratitude. There were more messages, increasingly frantic ones from my siblings, as they realized I wasn't responding, but I didn't read them all. Instead, I texted my mother a quick thank you, and then put my phone in airplane mode as they called my flight for boarding. 5 hours later, I stepped off the plane into the warm, humid air of Cancun. The difference from the mild Michigan summer I'd left behind was immediate and delicious. I collected my bag, found the shuttle to my resort, and sat back as we drove along the coast, the Caribbean Sea a stunning blue against the white sand beaches. My resort was everything I had hoped for. A small adults-only property with thatched roof palapas on the beach, a swim-up pool bar, and a room with a balcony overlooking the water. As I checked in, the friendly staff offered me a welcome cocktail and a cool towel for my face. Is this your first time in Mexico, Ms. Thompson? The receptionist asked as she processed my information. Yes, it is, I replied. I've been planning this trip for years. Then we must make sure it is perfect for you, she said with a warm smile. You are traveling alone. Yes, just me. Excellent. Many of our guests come alone to relax and recharge. We have a communal dinner table each evening if you would like to meet other travelers, or you can dine privately. Whatever you prefer. The freedom of that choice that I could be social or solitary as I wished, with no one else's preferences to consider, struck me as unutterably luxurious. I spent that first afternoon on the beach, stretched out on a lounge chair, with a book I'd been wanting to read for months. The sound of the waves, the warmth of the sun, and the absence of any demands on my time created a perfect bubble of peace that I hadn't experienced in as long as I could remember. That evening, feeling brave, I opted for the communal dinner table and found myself among a diverse group of travelers, a retired couple from Canada, a professor on sabbatical from England, and a photographer from California documenting coastal wildlife. The conversation flowed easily, touching on travel's books and life philosophies, without once veering into the familiar territory of children's schedules or family obligations. It was during dessert that I finally checked my phone, turning off airplane mode, to find a barrage of texts and missed calls from my siblings. Rather than reading them all, I scrolled to find messages from my parents. Mom, the kids are fine. Emily and James picked them up on time. Enjoy your vacation, sweetheart. Dad, proud of you, Kendra. About time you did something for yourself. Relief and gratitude washed over me. My parents understood even if my siblings didn't. I sent them a quick message thanking them again, attached a photo of my beach view, and then turned my phone back to airplane mode. My siblings' reactions could wait. The next few days passed in a blissful routine of beach time swimming, exploring the small town near my resort, and indulging in delicious meals. I alternated between the communal table and dining alone depending on my mood. I tried snorkeling for the first time, marveling at the colorful fish and coral reefs. I treated myself to a massage at the resort spa and wandered through local markets buying small gifts for the children. On my third day, as I sat at the beach bar watching the sunset, a man about my age took the stool next to mine. He ordered a beer in halting Spanish, then turned to me with a friendly smile. "Beautiful sunset, isn't it?" he said. "Breathtaking," I agreed. "I'm Daniel, by the way." "Kendra." We fell into easy conversation, discovering we were both from the Midwest, Daniel from Wisconsin, and both worked in education. He was a high school history teacher, taking a solo trip before the new school year began. "My friends think I'm crazy for traveling alone," he said. "They all do these big group trips, but I wanted the freedom to do exactly what I wanted when I wanted." I nodded in understanding. I'm learning the value of that freedom on this trip. It's my first time traveling alone. "What made you decide to try it?" I hesitated, unsure how much of my family drama to share with a stranger. But something about Daniel's open expression and the liminal